Hello everybody, this is Dan from Christie's RV. Today we're going to be taking a look at this 2021 242BHS Jay Flight. We're going to be going over some of the things you need to know once you've purchased this unit. So we'll start here on the front. First off, you have two 30-pound propane tanks. In the center of the propane tanks here is your crossover regulator. So the system is designed to be used with both tanks turned on. Then whichever way this arm is pointing is which tank is taking propane from. When that tank becomes empty, it will automatically start taking from the other tank. And there's a sight gauge down just below the lever. It will turn red to inform you that whichever tank the lever is pointed towards is empty. So once you notice that, then you just need to switch the lever over to the other tank. The sight glass will go clear and you can remove the empty tank and have it filled. Behind that, you have your battery. And in front of the propane tanks, you have a electric tongue jack. So to control the tongue jack, you have one switch just for the hitch-up light. On top of that, you have your up and down switch for the tongue jack itself. Now, the tongue jack does have a manual crank that you can insert in case you don't have enough power or there is an issue with the jack. To insert it, you just have to pull this rubber plug out of the top, and the crank is in the front compartment of the trailer. Moving down the side. So this unit has stabilizer jacks on all four corners. So the stabilizer jacks are here. There's a crank handle for it in the front compartment. Now these jacks are not to be used to level the trailer, they're just for stabilization. So they're made to be put down just snug to the ground, but not actually lifting the trailer up. So farther on down the side of the unit, we have the city water connection. So this is where you'll hook your garden hose on to supply the trailer with water. Above that, you have your outside shower. And above that, you have your black tank flusher hookup. So what this is meant for is when you're dumping the holding tank of the trailer, you can hook on to that and it helps flush the tanks and clean them out properly. Down on the underside of the unit, you actually have where the sewer hose hooks up. So to hook the sewer hose up, you just twist the cap off. The sewer hose will twist on in place of the cap. Then you have your two valves. They are labeled on the side of the trailer. You have your gray and your black. The gray is the sink water. The black is the toilet water. You just pull the valve straight out and it'll empty the tank. Right beside the gray valve, there is two valves up here. Those are your low point drains for the trailer itself. So if you turn the valves, it will actually drain both the hot and cold lines inside the trailer. Most of the time you would use that either for winterizing purposes or if you're going to let the trailer sit for an extended period of time, I'd recommend that you drain the water out of the system. On the back corner, you have your satellite and cable input. So if you have a satellite dish or the park you're at has cable hookup, this is where you hook it up. On the rear wall, you have where your power cord comes out. So the power cord just pulls out and pushes in. Beside that, you have your hot water heater. So everything on the hot water heater is controlled from inside the unit. Out here, the only thing to take note of is the drain plug. So your drain plug is here. So again, if you let it sit for an extended period of time, or when it comes time to winterize, you'll need to drain the tank. One thing to note, before you remove this plug, you need to make sure that the pressure in the system has been bled off. So you'll want to open the taps inside to let the pressure out, then you can drain the tank safely. So on the door side of the unit, you have the small outside kitchen. So in the kitchen, you have the electric fridge. So inside the fridge, it has your thermostat controls here in the top corner. This fridge only works when you're plugged into shore power. Beside that, you have the pull-out for the outside kitchen. So you just grab the handle, slide it out, And you have your sink on the one side and the stovetop on the other. So you'll just lift the stovetop up, extend the wings so it doesn't fall down on you. So to hook the propane up for the outside stove, once it's slid out all the way, underneath the unit, there is a quick connect. So basically on the quick connect end, you need to pull back on the collar and then push it into place and then release the collar and it'll stay locked on. So there's one below and there's one up on the bottom side here to plug it in. Once both ends are plugged in, there is a valve here that needs to be turned on. So you'll just turn the valve down so it's straight out, and that'll allow the propane to go through. Then you can just turn the knob for whichever burner you want to use and light it with a barbecue lighter. Beside that, you have your furnace exhaust, which is here. Obviously, it's going to be hot when it's running, so just be careful not to lean anything up against it while the furnace is on. On top of that, you have your fridge vent. The fridge, again, is controlled from inside. The only thing to note here is that you don't want to block any of the airflow here, so you can't lean anything up against it, otherwise it can affect the cooling performance of the fridge. Beside that, you have your fresh water tank fill. So if you're going to fill the onboard water tank and use the water pump to supply you with water, all you have to do, take the cap off, put your hose in, fill it up. Once it's full, it'll actually start draining underneath the unit through the overflow. When you want to drain the tank, just in front of the tire here, you have the drain here. You just twist the knob on top to let the water out. Beside that, you have the output for cable or satellite. So if you had a television underneath the awning and you wanted the satellite and stuff to work from it, that's where you're going to hook it up. And then beside that, you have a 110 receptacle. Up on top here, you have your range hood vent. So for travel, the vent here should be closed. When you actually want to use the vent, you need to open up. So they just have these two little tabs, so you'll just push the tab up till it's open, and then to close it, you just push the tab back in till it clicks. So on the main entrance door here, this unit has stairs that are inside. So to open the stairs, there's just this little blue tab. So you're just going to pull the tab out and then start swinging the stairs out. Now the stairs are adjustable depending on the ground and stuff you have. So you're just going to push in on this tab and either pull the leg out or push it in farther. And then you'll set the stairs down. So going up inside the unit, right when you get inside, beside the door, you have all your controls here. So you have your monitor panel. You have your two light switches. So one is interior lights and one is the awning light that's under the awning. Your awning controls are here. So to extend the awning, you're just going to press and hold the out. And the awning is going to come out on its own. So the one thing with this awning, you can adjust the pitch of it on either side. The lower part of the arm here, all you have to do is just grab and pull that part of the arm down, and it will actually pitch the awning. Before you roll the awning back up, you just push it back to straight, and then you can roll the awning back up. One thing to note with the awning is they are not made for inclement weather, so heavy rain or heavy wind, you are going to need to roll it in. As well, I would recommend that if you're not going to be at your trailer, that you roll your awning in before you leave. So the monitor panel that's here. It will show you your battery level, the level of the fresh tank, black tank, or gray tank. So to check them, you're just going to pick which one you want. You're going to press the button. They all share the same gauge here on top, and it'll tell you what your readings are. Below that, you have your water pump switch. So if you want to, or if you're using the holding tank, onboard holding tank for water, you're just going to need to flip the switch on. Beside that, you have your two water heater switches. So if you're wanting to use electricity, then you just flip the switch for electric. Works on its own. If you're going to run on propane to heat the hot water, you just flip it on. Everything should self-ignite. If for some reason the water heater does not light, this little fault light up in the top corner will illuminate, just to warn you that the water heater didn't light when you told it to. Beside the awning switch, you have your slide out controls. So before you put the slide out, you need to ensure that nothing is fallen down in behind the slide out. So once you're sure that everything's clear, you're just going to push and hold the out button. So one thing to note with the slide outs is they only seal if they're all the way in or all the way out. So you can't leave the slide out part way. Otherwise, there is a possibility that it could leak water. Once it gets all the way out, it makes that ratcheting noise. That's how you know you're all the way. On the side of the kitchen cupboard here, you have your propane and CO detector. So it is hardwired to the trailer. You can test by pushing the button here to make sure that it is working properly. If it alarm does go off, it will inform you if it is propane or carbon monoxide is what it's detecting by the lights that are on it. Up top you have the microwave, works just like a household microwave. Below that you have your stovetop. Open the stovetop cover. You just fold the glass and then stand it up. Then you can select whichever burner you want to use, turn it on, turn the sparker and it lights. So the center burner is your high output burner. It is hotter than the other two. So if you're going to want to boil water or you need more heat, you should be using that front burner. On the side here, there's an electrical switch, so you can turn the front lighting on, or the front lighting on and the light that's in the oven. To light the oven, you're going to take the oven control knob here. You're going to turn it to the light spot. You see the color changes there as well. You're going to push and hold in on the knob, and then you're going to twist the sparker. Once it lights, it will light back here. You're going to continue to hold the knob for 5 to 10 seconds. Once you release the knob, it should stay running on its own. Then you can just set the temperature that you want. Below the oven is the load center for the trailer. So this is where all your electrical fuses and breakers are. So everything is labeled for both breakers and fuses. If a fuse was to trip, there actually is a small LED light that will illuminate beside it to let you know that that is the fuse that has a problem. The breakers themselves do not have any indicators. So if you have an electrical problem, I recommend that you find the appropriate breaker and actually turn it off and then back on to reset it. The other thing to note with the load center is that it does have a fan that's temperature controlled. So depending on the internal temperature of the unit, sometimes the fan will run and sometimes it won't. So it is normal to hear different noises coming from it when the fan is running. Above the stove, you have your controls. You either have a light above the stovetop or you have the fan controls. Beside that, you have the fridge. So this fridge is both propane and electric. So you have two settings. You either have auto or gas. If you switch the trailer to gas, it's going to run only on propane. You have your temperature select 1 through 5. If the fridge does not light on its own, the little gas light is going to flash and inform you that it didn't light. If you select the auto setting, the fridge is going to use electricity as long as it's there. So if the power was to go out, it's going to automatically switch to gas. So this is generally the setting that we recommend. That way there, you use electric when you have it, and when you don't, it's going to run gas on its own. Next, we'll go in the bathroom. So you have your sink. On the other side, you have a single switch. Switches the lights. To open the roof vent on this unit, you just have to pull down on the handle and push up. And then the same thing, pull down and pull down, twist it down. This unit has a foot flush toilet. So the toilet itself, if you step on the pedal all the way to the floor, it will fully dump everything that's in the tank. If you half push on the pedal, it'll just add water to the toilet bowl. One thing I'd recommend is that you always use some sort of toilet chemical and always use an RV style toilet paper. Next out here you have your thermostat. So this thermostat controls both the furnace and air conditioning. So to turn it on, first thing you have to do is just touch it. So this unit is what they call a compassive touch. So it's not an actual button, you just need to touch it. If you press these like they were buttons and you press hard, it doesn't take very long before they stop working properly. So you just need to touch the unit. So the first time you touch it, it'll light up. Second time you touch it, it'll start scrolling through the functions. So the first function you come to is just your fan setting. So you have 3 settings for the fan. You have auto, high, or low. So if you want just the air conditioning fan to run to circulate the air, you're just going to cycle through to high or low fan, then it's going to control it on its own. One thing to note, if you leave it on high or low fan and then you turn your furnace on, it is actually going to run the air conditioning fan just to help circulate the air as well. So if you don't want the air conditioning fan to run with the furnace on, you need to make sure that your fan is selected to auto, not high or low. So the next one you have here is cooling. So on cool, you can scroll through and you can turn the temperature to where you want it to be. Air conditioner to come on and work on its own. Other than that, next one on here is furnace. So the furnace, again, you're going to set the temperature you want. So the furnace itself is going to self-light now. So the furnace is going to run for approximately 30 seconds before the flame actually ignites as a safety procedure. And then once it either comes down to the temperature you want it to be at, or you turn the whole unit off, it is going to run for another 30 seconds with the flame not running, again as a safety procedure. So here on the front, up at the TV, you have your stereo. So the stereo on this unit, push it on just by that top button. Then you also have your speaker zones, so you can go through AM, FM, and all that other stuff. Your speaker zones here, you have number 1 is your interior speakers, number 2 is your exterior speakers. So one thing to note is that if you don't want the people outside the unit listening to what you're listening to, you just have to remember to turn speaker zone 2 off. So you can do whatever combination you want, and then turn it back off from there. So in beside that, you have the antenna booster. So on here, if you're going to use the TV through just the regular over-the-air antenna, there is a booster function here. It helps pick up the signal. If you're not going to use it and you want to run it on cable or satellite, you actually need to turn the booster off. Otherwise, it's going to automatically default to it. So there's just a button in behind. When it's on, the little green LED will be on. When it's off, there'll be no lights. So in the bedroom here, it's pre-prepped for a TV in the bedroom. So it has the wall mount. And then on the roof, it has your power plug-in and your coax hookup. Beside that, this unit has a solar panel on it already. So you have your solar charge control. So it's going to read out what the voltage is on the unit, how much it's charging, and stuff like that. You can scroll through and set the menu however you'd like it to be set. So there's a couple spots in the trailer, the one here and the one at the back bunk where there's an emergency escape window. So the emergency escape window, if you needed to use it, there's a little red tab here on the screen. You need to pull out, the screen will come out. Then the handle here, you're just going to lift the handle and you're going to push the window all the way out. Now the window is hinged at the top. It's not going to fall out, but it allows you to get out of the unit if you needed to. You can use this as a ventilation window as well, but there's only one spot that it locks. So you're just going to push the handle out until when you let it go, it stays there. The only thing with these windows, if it is very windy out, I wouldn't recommend using it. Sometimes the wind will actually blow the window out a little bit farther. It's not a big deal. You can go from the outside and you just feed the rod back through, and then you can close the window. To close the window, you're just going to lift the tab, pull the window in, and slide it back over into the lock position. Now the blinds in this trailer all just pull down. So when you just reach up, you just pull them down and just push them back up. So I think that's just about all for this unit. I hope you enjoy and have a great day.